There's a lot of talk about how the passage of time seems to speed up as you get older. You know, when you're younger, like 1 week feels like an eternity. But as you get older, weeks seem to fly by much quicker. You know, 1 hour feels like 10 minutes. You know, years start to trickle by much faster. And it's a rather sad thing, you know, that time seems to speed up as you get older. And there are lots of kind of theories about why this is, but the one that seems to be glumly accepted by most people is that as you experience more time, you just get more familiar with the passing of it. And each year is like a smaller section of time that you've experienced, you know. So the first year of your life, you know, you never experienced the year before, so it feels like a really long time. But then the next year, it's a little bit. You've already got last year to compare to, so it's sort of half of that. And it slowly seems to sort of get smaller and smaller as you get older. You know, each year of your life is a smaller part of your life, and therefore it feels smaller. You know, this is a theory that most people subscribe to. This is one that I subscribed to for a long while. Well, fairly like. I thought that was fairly made sense to me. But I don't think this is the full story. I think there's some truth to this. I do think clearly, you know, as you get older, your familiarity with time must make some difference. But it's not the whole story. And I've stopped living with this depressing narrative that time just gets faster as I get older, and there's nothing that I can do about it. And it's slightly more to play with than that. So, just to give you my own personal experience on the speed of time, I've just got back from a week where Monday to Friday, I was working just in my job. So I work as like a tax accountant in Oxford, and you know, in tax accountancy, it's very, you know, I don't mind it. You know, it's whatever, pays well. Like, you know, some of it is quite interesting, but fundamentally, a lot of it's very monotonous and there's a lot of repetition, and you're sitting behind a screen. You're not having lots of novelty in your life, right? You know, it's fairly mundane and repetitive. And then on the Friday, I had a plan to go and shoot a video in Cornwall. And so I got into work slightly earlier on the Friday. I got in at about 8 o'clock, which meant that I was allowed to leave at 4:30. So 4:30 I cycled quickly home and went to a car hire place, like a car hiring place near where I live, and hired a car and drove up to Cornwall that evening. You know, stayed a night in Plymouth, and then, which is, well, that's not in Cornwall, but you know what I mean. And then spent the rest of the weekend, the whole weekend basically, filming videos in Cornwall, filming content there. And I got back on Sunday evening quite late, and you know, that was my week, right? And it's so weird because the time from Monday to Friday feels like the same as from the end of Friday to Sunday evening. It honestly, it feels like I've had 2 weeks, but they were 2 separate weeks. And the reason for that is because there was so much more novelty in my weekend. I was doing so much more stuff, and not only I was doing more stuff, but that stuff was genuinely engaging to me. It felt purposeful that I was doing it, you know. I went to sleep those nights feeling good because I'd done something I gave a shit about, you know. I was in a kind of restful state all through the weekend. And it really did feel like as long a time as the rest of the previous week, the working week had been for me. And it's a really weird thing. And it's got me thinking a lot about this kind of stuff and how there's so much more to the passage of time going faster than just like, oh, time just gets old quicker as you get older and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, think about the kind of life you lived as a kid. There's a lot of novel experiences there, and you're much freer, you know, to just kind of have fun and do what you want. And that's kind of what I was doing when I was in Cornwall. You know, I was just engaging with that childlike sense of play again, you know. And it makes so much more sense that is what's responsible for the passing of time feeling faster than it just being an inevitability. Which is great news if it is, because it's sad to think that time just gets quicker and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, and if it's as simple as just doing something you enjoy doing, that you love doing, then that's great news, you know, because it really is as simple as like you want to do something you enjoy doing for a living anyway. So if that slows the time down as well, then fantastic. You know, the only conclusion I've really come to with this is the passing of time it's more to do with like a much wider problem of like fulfilling your purpose on earth. That is part of a much bigger thing than people give credit for. I've just been thinking about lots of times in my life where I have felt like time has gone slower, you know. Like, have you ever been on holiday or like you've had a flight and you've gone somewhere that's involved a lot of travelling and doing a lot of stuff, and you sort of make it to the evening and you remember back to the morning when you set off and you're sort of like, wait a minute, that was today. And it kind of feels like it was a few days ago, it was like a day ago, like there was a sleep in between there somewhere. But there wasn't. I think it's the same thing, because you've had so many novel experiences. That's what's sped up. It's kind of slowed down time for you. So yeah, just to really conclude all this, what I think it boils down to is if you want to slow time down, you want to increase the sort of novel experiences that you're having. But even more importantly is just do stuff that is engaging to you and interesting to you. And really live life to the full, you know. Like, I look back to the weekend I had in Cornwall and it was just craziness. Like, I was really sort of just living life to the full. Like, I remember I was just driving down this, you know, really remote part of Cornwall, and I just saw this this like old tin mine, this tin factory thing, that had just been closed down, from like, you know, several years ago, and it was completely abandoned. And I just parked the car on by the side of the road, and just walked up to this tin mine. I had to wade through quite a lot of bushes and kind of ferns and stuff like that to get to it. And it was quite a sort of treacherous journey getting there, and I kind of felt like I was sort of travelling through the, you know, like discovering some kind of ancient abandoned Aztec temple or something like that. It had that kind of vibe to it. I mean, you know, you guys can see the video when it's out. You'll see what I mean a bit better. But you know, the point I'm getting at is I was just really living my life to the full, and yeah, I just think my brain was like, oh, finally, like he's actually doing something interesting now. Let's really like get all this down. You know, let's slow the time down so that it feels like, you know, because it's actually important now. I mean, when I'm in my job and I'm doing tax returns, my brain just kind of thinks to itself like, oh, I've seen this before, let's put it on double speed. You know, like when you watch a YouTube video and you're like, oh, I kind of know what the message is of this video, let's just put it on double speed. You know, maybe the brain does a similar thing, you know. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, like, in a sense, I want time to speed up when I'm at work as well, you know. I can't deny that. So there's probably something similar going on there. So yeah, that's what it really boils down to be honest, is just purposeful work. Finding some way to get that creative, fun energy in your life again. Yeah, and it's really simple as that. I mean, and novelty as well, but you know, now I'm talking about this, even novelty, like, it's a sort of shallow solution, you know, because you can be doing something quite monotonous, you know. I remember when I was really into studying languages. I mean, I still am, but I went through a phase where that was like my real focus, and I'll just sit there, just doing quite mundane exercises of like translating ancient Greek, which was quite monotonous, but I was in just total flow while I did it, and I was in that same kind of flow state that I was in Cornwall, where, you know, time was kind of, I don't know if time slowed down, but it certainly, I had a similar relationship there with what I was doing, you know, but that was quite monotonous. So yeah, maybe novelty is a bit of a red herring. Maybe I'll do a separate video about that. But yeah, hopefully you found something useful from this video, guys. As always, top link in the description. I'm doing some one-on-one coaching at the moment. It would be a pleasure to hear from you if you're interested. And I'll see you in the next one.